What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and today I'm back to talk to you guys about Warhammer 40k. Now, today I'm talking about an obscure model that really should be getting much more attention considering the new FAQ, or I guess the new release for the Forgeworld models. So, like I said, this guy is a Forgeworld model. He cannot be found within the pages of the Chaos Space Marine Codex, and he is just a really obscure choice to field. This is a Chaos Hellrite. Well, what the heck is that, you might be asking? And that's a pretty good question, because Hellrites are essentially members of the Dark Mechanicum, and their whole shtick is all about buffing demon engines, vehicles, Hellforge vehicles for that matter, and considering the meta of a bunch of demon engines and vehicles being really great right now, this guy is really, really good. So he is a very obscure model because there currently is no official Warhammer 40k model for this guy. Whether you look at the GW website or you head on over to Forgeworld, there's no sculpt for a Hellrite. So the closest thing we really have to making a Hellrite is getting essentially like a Tech Marine, maybe a Primaris Tech Marine, and kit bashing him, or you can go the route of just using a Warpsmith and adding more bits and making it just more intimidating looking. What you see here is my version of a Chaos Hellrite, and the reason why he's so bulky and menacing looking is because the Hellrite can be played in two ways: on foot or on top of a dark abiant. Now, what the heck is an abiant? Good question. Essentially, it's like some kind of like floating throne or vehicle-esque type means of locomotion. And the cool thing about this is that giving him this is just a huge buff. So, in the most recent update to the Forgeworld models and whatnot, the Dark Abiant went down in points, went down in power, but he went up in terms of, like, I think it was toughness, wounds, and attacks. So that's really good. He got cheaper and he got even better. So let's go ahead and take a look at the rules and the stats, weapons, and war gear for this guy in your 9th edition games. This guy is a steal at only being 85 points for just the Hellrite model, or 120 points when he's riding upon the Dark Abiant. And on the Dark Abiant, he's only 6 power, so that is really great when you're trying to add him into those Crusade games where power is such a limiting factor to your strike force. But anyway, let's go ahead and look at his rules, his abilities, his weapons, and his war gear. So when it comes down to the faction keywords, he's got Chaos. You can give him any mark of Chaos. He's got Heretic Astartes, and he can belong to any legion, which is great, highly customizable. Keywords are that of Infantry, Character, Warpsmith, Chaos Hellrite, and Dark Abiant. When you're looking at his stats, they're pretty beefy. Movement 8 inches, Weapon Skill 3 up, Ballistic Skill 2 up, Strength 5, Toughness 6, Wound 6, 3 attacks, Leadership 9 with a 2 up save. So right off the bat, he's not as durable or as tough as you would like him to be, but toughness and wounds of 6 each is not something to just completely ignore, because he has an ability called Infernal Augmetics that allow him to regain 1 lost wound at the start of your command phase. So if he doesn't outright get shot off the board, he's going to slowly recuperate and build himself back up to full wounds, hopefully. On top of this, you really want to start shooting with him because that's what he's best at. He hits most things on a 2 up, and I do say most things because in close combat he's going to hit things on a 3 up. So that's not 100% the best place you want to be at, but at the same time his movement of 8 inches will get him where you need him to be pretty quickly. He's got a pretty cool ability called the Master of Mechanisms. At the end of your movement phase, a Hellrite can repair a single Legion, Demon Engine, Quaestor, Traitoris, or Dark Mechanicus vehicle from the same Legion as yourself within an inch. So that model regains D3 lost wounds, and a Warpsmith can then, instead of healing, curse an enemy vehicle within 18 inches, sorry. So you roll a d6, and on a 2-up, the vehicle suffers a mortal wound. Now a vehicle cannot be repaired or cursed more than one model with Master of Mechanisms in the same turn. So you can't just spam this dude and just start dealing mortal wounds or just healing crazy amounts. But still, being able to deal a mortal wound on an enemy vehicle within 18 inches is really good if you don't have any Hellrite vehicles that need the heal. So he works very similar to that of a Lord Discordant, but he still feels different enough to not, be like having two of the same units within your army. Now, of course, he is a Chaos Space Marine, so he has Death to the False Emperor, but on top of this, he's got the gift of the Hellforge aura, which allows friendly vehicles of the same legion within 6 inches of him to add 1 to their attacks and leaderships, as long as they're within that aura. So that's what I was saying, that you really want to stick like a Leviathan Dreadnought, anything that has Hellforge as a keyword to gain that extra attack and leadership near him. So as that Dreadnought takes hits, you can then heal him up with the Hellrite, or if the Dreadnought and the Hellrite are pretty good on wounds, you can then try and chip off a mortal wound off any enemy vehicle nearby. And before we dive into his weapons, he does have the Aura of Dark Majesty, which grants him a 5-up invulnerable save, and every time a ranged attack is made against him, you subtract 1 from the enemy's hit roll. So he's kind of got an inbuilt buff to his survivability, because no matter where you're at, if you're shooting a ranged weapon at this guy, it's going to be just a little bit tougher to hit him. Now when it comes to his weapons, he's got a ton of them. So he's got a flamer, nothing special there, just a regular flamer. And then he's got mecha tendrils. So these allow him to get 2 more additional attacks if you attack with this weapon in close combat. They're not the best, because they got no AP and they only deal 1 damage. But if you're getting swarmed by like Gretchen or something weak, you can get more dice to be thrown and hopefully kill him off. But if you do have something a little bit stronger that you're stuck with in close combat, you can always hit them with your Infernal Axe, which is +1 strength, -3 AP, and 2 damage with each swing. Again, you don't have that many attacks with only 3, but still, 3 attacks at -3, you're pretty much almost guaranteed to be doing that 2 damage if it goes through. Now, where he really shines is again in range. His range isn't that great. The biggest he has is a 16 range, heavy 2, strength 6, -3, D6 shot weapon with his Warpfire Lance. Again, he's going to be kind of close to mid-range type of fighter, but he also has a Soul Burner pistol. So again, it's a pistol, so that means the range is only 12. You get 2 shots with it, but every successful hit with this weapon just deals a straight up mortal wound, and that's it. So that's pretty good at dealing mortal wounds. And finally, we come to probably his strongest gun, but at the smallest range, that being of 8 inches. So this is the Void Cutter. Now it's only an Assault 1, Strength 8, -4 AP, 3 damage weapon, but each time an attack is made with this weapon against a vehicle, you add 1 to the attack's wound roll. So that's really good. This guy is all about taking out the enemy vehicles. Again, shares a lot of things in common with the Lord Discordant, but I don't know. Who do you think is better between the two? I've never used both of them in the same match, and I like to see how they do. Currently, I've got a Hellrite in my Crusade that we're currently doing here at One Mind Syndicate, so expect to see him in a bunch of Crusade videos, which we'll be doing in the future. So if you guys like battle reports, they're coming. Just gotta be patient. But yeah, so that was the model, the Chaos Hellrite, the unit that I think shouldn't be left in the dark anymore. Hopefully GW gets off their butts and actually makes a model for this guy, because I like to see how they could create him. Now, what this has taught me, what this has showed me, is that I really, really want the Dark Mechanicus to be a playable faction. The Dark Mechanicus is just such a cool faction that you can do a lot with. You can really showcase the grim darkness of 40k with the Dark Mechanicus. Obviously the Skitarii are a pretty popular faction because they're very like cyberpunky, but still nitty gritty and dark, and I think you could crank that darkness to an 11 by playing the chaos version of the Skitarii. So hopefully we get to see that as the next playable race for 40k, and maybe the Hellrite would transfer over from just being a Chaos Space Marine unit to also being playable with the Dark Mechanicus. One can hope, right? But if you guys have played this guy, if you guys have played against this guy, what are your thoughts on him? Let me know down in the comments below, and yeah, we'll see where this goes. Hopefully somewhere soon. But yeah, this has been the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.